I've read the bill. I read the bill and I read this article. The article, though, oh my gosh. Anytime and I know what room clear is, guys. It might have a different name, you know, get the hell out. Um, Please, God, help us. I mean, I don't know what exaggerated terms schools use, to sit there. I don't know what's happened to us as a society that we somehow think that children, because we were all children, right? I mean, all of us that are adults now that are in control of this crappy world of ours, because now it's our turn and we don't have anybody to blame. I mean, I can still blame boomers, and I will, because they just will not let go of power. Um, but it's us, guys. So you sit there and you go, okay, well, we were children once, and I don't remember this crazy stuff happening in my classrooms in elementary school. But you sit there and you go, well, why is that? And I'm sorry, but there is something occurring, and I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. I've got a child with autism. Okay, she has behavioral concerns. Um, it's a mystery how she got it, or where it came from. I mean, I know some people, and I believe that holds true with some of the population with ASD. Okay, I don't have a clue. All I know is what lives in my house, and she's a beautiful young lady, and I love her to death. Okay. Uh, at the same time, guys, I just don't understand what it is that is occurring that is creating these situations to where schools are complaining about these escalating events of behavior. And you sit there and you go, well, why is that? Okay, so there's only a few options, guys. uh, is it the diet? It is, are we killing ourselves by the crap that we're eating causing behavioral issues? I know for a fact that certain dyes, certain things in foods impact my daughter's behavior. I absolutely know that. Give her some Doritos, man. She's good to go. Tear your house down. Um, and I don't know what it is about that stuff, but you sit there and you go, why are we having this escalation? Now, what's changed? Okay, well, you sit there and you go, well, maybe it's diet, maybe it's the meds, um, maybe it's environmental pollutants. Uh, maybe there's also a contributing factor inside of schools. Maybe it's changed as well. Maybe it doesn't give unstructured downtime and breaks like it used to when we were children. Maybe. But we like to blame kids for adult problems. And quite frankly, everything is an adult problem. We just happen to drag kids into our adult problems. We create adult problems and then we insert children into our adult problems. So, what have we done where we've seen this drastic change in childhood behavior? Let's see. We've inserted high stakes testing. We've pushed reading mandates and math mandates to lower and lower and lower ages, where one of the number one countries in the entire world in education is Finland, and they don't even teach reading until around 7 years old. Don't even do it. Don't touch it. 7, 8 years old. What do? Well, they use all those early years as a foundation for socialization and language development. Strong language development then translates over into a good foundation and a base for education. Now we're going the opposite direction. We are force feeding and cramming mandates at a lower and lower age. What else did we do? Zero tolerance. We didn't have zero tolerance inane policies when we were younger. We didn't have cops in our schools. pretending that we're all safe and protected when that's just not true. Anybody who wants to commit violence is going to do it. The only difference is cutting down that response time. But it doesn't mean that in the process that we haven't inserted these things that are scary to children that are dysregulated. Even neurotypical kids are all dysregulated. And we're just dumping adult themes on them and adult problems on them. And then what's the coup de, what puts the icing on the cake for me is this politician saying that she can't legislate good parenting. You can't legislate good parenting because my child's autism and her behavioral responses are somehow my fault and my wife's fault. And therefore we're bad parents because we just don't understand what's going on. There's a fraction of students that are from broken, nasty, whatever, however you would envision bad homes. But I can tell you that that's all BS anyway, because there are a lot of bad parents in well-to-do homes. They're just able to hide it better because they have money. And because people with money tend to get a pass, and that's the reality, they get overlooked on their bad parenting. But I've known plenty of teachers that they're horrible parents. I've watched enough hoarder episodes to know that there's teachers that are hoarders. I've watched enough intervention to know that there's drug addict teachers. I've known I know enough teachers to know that some of them are cheating on their spouses and they're just crappy parents. All right? The point that I'm trying to make is it goes both ways. But what I don't like is I don't like the eye focused singularly on children, on the parents, as though the institution of public education is not a major contributor to these problems, because we have inserted things that don't need to exist, that are actually counterproductive to positive child development. And in fact, James Galini believes that because of all of this nonsense, we've actually created a false positive and the need for special education for some kids that, quite frankly, if we just made adjustments to schedule, gave more free time, weren't as crazy about zero tolerance, used mistakes as teachable moments, instead of crucifying these kids, I don't think we'd have as many kids on IEP rolls consuming resources. But it's the kids, it's not the adults, is it? So why not create more laws that then give justifications for ignorant people to then remove children from general education environments? Even though special education works, and even though we have the policies there already, we don't need to sit there and restate it through discombobulated, confusing language that give ignorant people a pass because they're not reading the real federal regulations and requirements. Least restrictive environment works. But you gotta do exhaustion. You got to try the right things. You got to get the right professional hats involved, and you gotta sit there and get off of your stinking high horse perch believing that just because you have a piece of paper you went to college for called a degree, which quite frankly isn't that difficult to get because I have a couple of them, it doesn't make you an expert on the intricacies of human behavior. That is something that requires training, because many of you as human beings are products of your crappy upbringing and your crappy environment and how you were raised by your crappy parents. And I'm just making this applies to all of us. I'm just saying that we tend to repeat the things that we know. Very few of us will sit there and self-assess and go, you know what? I really think, and then you go to your parents and they go, yeah, you know what? We shouldn't have done that. But we didn't know what we were doing. We were new parents and, we were broken. We have no idea what we were doing. We did our best, but we love you. How many of us have heard that? And then as parents, we tend to, as we get older, look back and go, gosh, I wish I wouldn't have done that. I wish I wouldn't have parented that way. I do that all the time. I try to self-assess what kind of parent I am and try to be better. So the crux of that is, why can't our education system, why can't we stand back and go, we're doing it wrong. We're parenting wrong. We're teaching wrong. We're destroying lives because of what we're doing. And more parents are abandoning the system, which is leaving more and more special education kids in the system because we don't have the options that exist out there, because most of the states, the federal funding is devoted, along with the state funding, is devoted for the public schools. And those of us that would like options don't have options, which means that regardless of socioeconomics, regardless of ethnicity, race, religion, we're all forced into the public school. It's everyone else that's leaving. And so why do you think that there's this effort to get rid of special education, or restrict and confine and have options to remove them from classes? Something to think about. But this bill, it's contradictory in so many ways to existing federal law. And the devil's also in the details. For example, all of these specialized classes, that who's running them, what kind of credentials are required. There's a litany of questions that need to be answered. Not just throwing a bill together because it's going to be misapplied. It's going to be misused. It's actually going to expend more resources. But that's not what politicians think about, do they? They never write these bills, by the way. These bills are the creation of probably the teachers union or another education lobbying outfit, like the Board of Education lobby or the superintendent's lobby, came up with this crap, and they're pushing it as a mechanism, quite frankly, to discriminate, a license to discriminate.